inside tip, and that is brush care. Even if you have a dollar store brush, I'll tell you, that entire brush container is filled with cheap brushes that I've either inherited somewhere or bought from the dollar store or somewhere else. And I'll tell you, I do some very high-end paint jobs for big-time things. I've worked on really major Hollywood productions with these brushes. They work great for what I want. You'll get your favorite brush. Keep it. Keep using them. Allow them to become your favorite brush. And the way you do that is simple brush care. And brush care is very easy. We're now setting things aside and waiting for things to dry. So what do? Well, I have this jar full of water, always within arm's reach, literally, of what I'm working on. I've got rags. What I want to do is stick my filthy brush into water, wipe it off with the rag. Get all that extra paint out of there. The next thing I want to do, oh, by the way, while you paint, you very rarely want to bring paint all the way up to this cuff. This cuff is called the ferrule, and if you get paint in there, it's difficult to get out, and it actually breaks down the brush. In fact, hardened paint at the base of the bristle can break that bristle off, and the brush falls apart. So you don't want to get paint up into the ferrule. Instead, you just want to use the tip of the brush usually. You'll notice I do some bad things, and I did one earlier where I mix paint with the brush. If you do that, you're going to get it in the ferrule. So the important thing is to immediately go to your water, bring it around, knock off the extra water, wipe it off on your dirty rag. Now, I'm not done yet. Now that I've done that, I want to take a little bit more of clean water, and often what I do is I will have clean water in a water container, a spray container, or a separate jar with clean water in it. I will take that clean water, wet my brush again, and this is a little painter's trick. You can buy brush care stuff. This is covered with paint, so you can't really see it. You can buy it for about $3, or you can literally use a bar of hand soap. Any bar of hand soap will help clean your brush. What you do, you get the brush nice and wet, and this is dirty water, so it's going to show, and you get it all up in there. You break the bristles open and get that stuff all over it. Then, after I've got a nice frothy, wet brush full of it, I want to take a relatively clean rag and wipe it down. Now, ideally, I would have used clear water for this, and it'd be a lot cleaner. But you want to bring those bristles back down, and this helps shape the brush. You do not want to do this with your beat to hell brush that you're working with, that you want intentionally beat up like that so you can split these things apart. Clean it, always clean it, but don't use the soap on it necessarily. You can, and I'll show you a different technique for that. So now that I've got it all wiped down, and most of the round brushes want to have a belly and then go to a tip. And that's what I've done here. I've basically formed it from the belly to the tip, and the easiest way to do that is to roll it out, running it along something that's clean, and rotate it. Get that nice and round. Now I've got this thing perfectly formed, and back in the container it goes. Good to go. You'll notice I do this with all my brushes. Look at that brush. It's very, very narrow, very thin, and stiff. It's super stiff right now because there's this soap on it. So before you use it, you'll notice I dip my brush in the water and broke the bristles free. That's just soap. It'll go away with the water. The water will break down the soap, and it'll make it flow a lot easier. This brush is actually very soft when it's not being held, but see, it's holding the bristles where I want them. I want a skinny, narrow brush. This one's built to be skinny and narrow. See how it's narrowed out here? This is a skinny, narrow brush. Still has a belly, but you see how it gets narrow at the tip. That's what I use for doing little veins and things like that. So you want that. And that's what soap will do for your brushes. If you want to clean your Beat to Hell brush, simply, you can use the soap again. But now, I'll get it wet. Get all that dirty paint off it as best I can. You'll notice I'm being a little rougher with this brush. It's a workhorse. It's okay. I can take it. Still trying to keep the paint out of the ferrule, but now if I want to use this cleaner again, I dip it in what would have been clear water. Don't have any right here right now. And then, now, I can go ahead and do it like this. Get it all wet. Rub it off again. And leave it. No forming of the bristles. Look at that. Look at how roughed up they are. If you have a brand new brush and you're like, hey, I liked how he did the wood grain and stuff with that broken apart brush. How do I do it? You do literally what I just did. You can take a brand new chip brush, get it wet, jam it into your cloth, beat it up, run it back and forth a few times, and look what's going to happen. All those bristles flare out like that. That's what you want.